Yes, and a very good morning to you, and welcome to the breakfast show here live from the Afamas Media. And I'm Kamau Mwangi. Good morning, good morning. How are you?
Fine, thank you. I'm Robert Mwakio.
Yeah.
Yes.
And actually, how do you say good morning in your native language?
It depends which native. There's so many natives.
Well, that one from Ushago.
You shall go you
Uh,
in camera, not in front of people.
wow, thank you so much, and thank you to our viewers who have joined us this early morning. And we actually have a very engaging topic that from what we are going to be discussing this early morning. Good morning, good morning, and we have Noah on the other end who is going to be joining us from that other end, and I believe you're gonna be having a nice show. So, what topic are we discussing today?
We're discussing the link between agricultural production
Uh huh.
and population dynamics,
Okay.
especially in Africa.
Uh huh.
Yes.
Wow, thank you so much. So I want to introduce Noah to the link. So Noah, good morning.
Muko salama?
Tuko salama kabisa.
Yep.
Yeah. So we want to the topic of the day, and we're going to be discussing the large population and less agriculture, and we're going to see how these two are intertwined. And we're going to be discussing more about the issue of people leaving the rural areas and coming to the urban areas, and how that affects agriculture in our country. And I guess we're going to start from that end, from your end, Noah. So what are your thoughts on the topic?
It's a very interesting. It's a very interesting discussion because most of the time we find that we come from the village coming into the city, into Nairobi city, and when we are in the cities, what happens is that now we have to learn how to survive, and surviving means kuchapa kazi. In the little French I know is kuruta wera, yani tu chapa kazi kabisa, lakini where there's a disconnect is because it's an advantage, yes, to farmers, those who are in the industry, especially the farmers themselves. But it's still a disadvantage because food is very expensive in the cities for obvious reasons. And yeah, but it's an interesting thing to actually discuss because just Nairobi metropolitan, Daktari is a guy of numbers. Uh, Nairobi metropolitan peke yake, it has, I think, close to, I think, 5 million people now. So that means that the counties are in and around the Nairobi metropolitan needs to produce more. But it's an interesting discussion.
Thank you so much. And actually, Mokio, coming to your end. So, what are your thoughts before we get to the gist of the matter?
Well, like I always tell even my students, urbanization is something that is inevitable. We'll continue urbanizing, and it's something that is part of our lives.
Uh-huh.
And for every nation that is developing goes with urbanization. And as we continue to develop, our nations continue to develop and urbanize, we also have to look at the correlation between urbanization and agriculture because these two are interrelated.
Oh wow! Thank you so much. And actually, as I was thinking about this topic, and I came to think of it, and I felt like people moving from the rural areas and coming to the urban areas is kind of an advantage for those farmers back in the village, because I feel now they have more market for their produce. Because you see, these people in Nairobi do not farm anywhere, and I felt like I guess it should be the direction we go. Let them come to Nairobi. What do you think?
You see, this is a very complex thing. In
Uh-huh.
fact, there's a website called McKinley, McKinsey, which deals basically with the population and population dynamics, which gives population of Africa to be about right now we're about 1.219 billion, which is quite a big chunk in the world population, and our growth rate in population, in terms of population growth, is about this year alone is 2.37%, meaning by next year we'll be hitting about 2.20 billion individuals in Africa. So how does that correspond with Africa, with farming? You see, like 60% all African farmers are small scale farmers, 60%, and that's quite small, yeah, compared to the large scale farmers. So, and remember, they say that agriculture actually accounts to 23% of the Africa's GDP, apart from every other. But 23% of Africa's GDP, that is quite a huge chunk. So that shows how important agriculture is in Africa, in development of Africa. Meaning, like, about 99% of African nations solely depend on agriculture, but there are some that depend. A few depend on tourism, others depend on mining, but a big chunk depends on agriculture. And you'll be shocked that Egypt actually is one of the best producers in agriculture in Africa, despite it being in the desert. So you ask yourself, I mean, what is your comment on that? Because Egypt, being a desert nation, is actually the leading agricultural producer in Africa.
I think for me, one of the take homes, for especially when it comes to Egypt being there, I think it has to do with determination, a lot of activity and action that you have to take. You have to have very strong governance in terms of policies that protect the country. When I talk about it, we know about the issue with the Nile, and they are always up in arms. But what they've done is that they've protected the most important water body that they have. And what they have done is that, I mean, less than 10% of Egypt land in Egypt is arable. So that tells us that if you have land that is arable, you have willing, available labor in terms of skill sets, and not just the skill sets, even the young people who are able to work and work in the different parts of agriculture. And then you need to do something as a country. So I think for me, I think it's the same thing as we talk about even Israel. Yes, despite Israel having a very small number in terms of population, there's a lot of activity going on. We go to Israel to benchmark. I don't know who comes to Kenya to benchmark. Yeah, but I think it's something that is important. We have to factor that in and make sure that it is something that is in us. And I don't think it's a matter of changing policies. I think it's just executing the policies that are available.
This is a topic we need to. Yes, this is a topic. And it's the issue about water in our urban areas, and you find like people discuss of water is a main factor affecting the agriculture as many people move from the rural areas to the urban areas, and probably you help us to understand how these water really affects the topic we're discussing about today.
Yeah, what I'll basically say is that rural agricultural lifestyle to an urban modern lifestyle, that is actually the basic understanding of what urbanization is. Yeah, urbanization also goes hand in hand with rural urban migration, rural urban, because we believe the rural areas actually are basically farming oriented compared to an industrialized urban setup where characterized by fast population, employment opportunities in different sectors of the economy. Now, when people move from rural areas to urban areas, they're in search of a different kind of lifestyle. So they leave the rural areas to be quite undeveloped, if we understand what undeveloped is. Yeah. So there's a lot of vast land that is left untamed. There's a time I posted a picture online on my Facebook. I was traveling from Nairobi. I was traveling from Nairobi. I was going to West Africa, and I'm passing through Europe. So when you are on top of Africa, there's a lot of land that is left very unproductive. Lots and lots of land. You'll just see big. Even here in Africa, if you travel to Shago, you'll see a lot of land.
Yeah.
People have come to hustle in Nairobi. They've left land. When you're in Europe, for example, if you're on a plane on top, you will see vast, big lands that have been put for agricultural production. Acres and acres of ranches set aside for agricultural production. Now, where is the problem here? Africa has not tapped greatly on agriculture, despite it being a major economic activities, but we are still far behind when it comes to development of agricultural potentials. They say Africa could be 2 or 3 times more productive than it is right now, despite us having lots and lots of land. They say despite Africa having a high population growth. And by the way, talking of high population growth, funny enough, from 2018, statistics show from 2018 through to 2022, the population growth is steadily decreasing in Africa. It was population growth was 2.50% by 2018. So we can talk about the corona. I was expecting corona period is when you have more children.
Yeah.
But during corona period, straight to 2022, population growth is slowly decreasing, and by next year we are looking at it going up to 2.35 population growth. But still, that's quite a lot compared to other countries like Norway or the Scandinavian countries where the population growth is actually going to over almost negative. More people are dying than they're being born. So what happens to this? We need to tap the labor. You see, the more the population, the higher the labor. And Africa is more blessed because it has a higher number of young population. Yeah, like the median age here in Africa is 17 years. So 17 years, we call it very young, energetic young people who fit up this energy into agricultural development. We can do quite a lot in agriculture. So those are things that we need to consider when we correlate between agriculture and population. Remember, if I can give a brief history of how the world or how industrialized nation came to be, they just didn't come from, they didn't wake up to become industrialized just like that. Yeah, they had to go through different steps. You've heard of the agrarian revolution. It was through the agrarian revolution in back in the United Kingdom and in the US that made industrial revolution possible. Why? Let me give you a brief history of the United States. During the agrarian revolution, the cotton, yeah, there was a lot of cotton being produced. Yeah, now that is when people are now thinking very hard of how can we be able to increase the production of cotton, and we decrease the cost. So that is how mechanization started. They started coming, inventing the yarn, the machines that can harvest cotton and can process cotton. And it was harvesting and processing cotton at a faster rate than how people could be. That was done in the northern part of the United States. Production was done in the south. So that is what came up to be the agrarian revolution into the industrial revolution. It was through agrarian revolution that we had the industrial revolution. But Africa wants to have that shortcut. We want to have an industrialized nation, but we're ignoring the agriculture bit of it. Yeah, we need to tap in. There are so many young men who have so much, there's a very brilliant mind. We need to have this brain. We need to tap a lot of invention and innovation into agriculture so that we can be able to do a lot in terms of production.
Wow. And I feel we're discussing some great content here. And I come to your side, Noah. What do you think about it?
I think I think what Dr. said is very important. It's very important for us to actually consider what has been said. However, I still believe that we are running on the same spot. When you're doing some exercise, you're told to jog on the spot. I think we're jogging on the same spot. in that we already have some of these things in place. We have NYS Yata, which is training quite a number of young people in agriculture. We have arable land. We have the policies that have been set there. Now we have the Hustler Fund that is now already out there. Is it possible to know specific areas that Hustler Fund people can be able to benefit from? Remember, the Youth Fund initially, Uwezo Fund was meant to really support young people who are doing farming, because they were actually being given greenhouses, instruction. But even before going into that, the large population is available. It is there. It is set. It will continue for as long as the weather in areas becomes cold. I know Dakari has refused to tell us to speak in his tongue so that we know how populous their area is. Ni sawa tu kwa hayo. Lakini we are actually saying that it is possible to feed the population. Take a good example of Kajiado. Kajiado is arable, available, full sun, meaning that production can be at the highest levels. It just needs water. And Kajiado, actually, even just look at Machakos. If you look at the distance from Nairobi town to Machakos and Nairobi town to Kiambu, and then look at the production levels, you find that in Kiambu the production is much higher than in Kajiado. But yet in Machakos, because of the full sun, a bigger part of the year, if the water and the skill sets of the farmers was improved, then this would actually make sense, complete sense. But when it comes to actually doing this, is it possible? Are we doing the right thing? Again, I don't think we need to think so hard. I think we just need to execute what has already, the policies that are already there in place, so that we can be able to now make sure that we are having agriculture. We are seeing in Kiambu, people actually, in some counties, people actually cutting down coffee, tea, and setting and building, constructing real estate. When you look at it that way, then you realize that it is not about less agriculture. It is actually more to do with are we doing the right thing?
Daktari, you've spoken about the issue, what do you call it? The issue of you visiting other countries and you see some more unutilized land, and we on the other side we find many farmers and many people in the country saying that land have been so much subdivided that we still don't have enough farm. And then you talk about we have large farm. Does that mean that this farm that that probably you've seen and other people haven't seen, or what is the issue that with this farm thing? That some say farm is small, it's more subdivided, and you were here telling us that there is more land.
Okay, what you're really referring to is the Kiambu, and what's happening right now in urbanization, and I'll give an example of Nairobi right now. Nairobi is growing very fast. Yeah, Nairobi is now taking all the satellite towns. So what happens? People want to move out of Nairobi, but be in a proximity to Nairobi, where I can live in Kiambu but drive and work in Nairobi. Yeah. So what happens to that? The immediate satellite towns that are in Nairobi, they're being subdivided very fast to pave way for urbanization. Buildings, houses are being built so that people they can start building their houses. They can have mansionettes and flats for settlement purpose. Well, this, at the end of the day, is it's actually causing agricultural land being to be subdivided. No, I can laugh with you in this. Like, I'm told in Kiambu right now, people are selling land even as small as 30 by 60. You subdivide land into that small. You see, like an old man passes away, leaves the young man with the land. So probably a young man is left with a 50 by 100 plot. But in that 50 by 100, you will still want to sell that land, and remain with some kibanda where he can just go and sleep as long as he sells it. And that's why they've realized that land has become very expensive, and they can break it down to the smallest unit, which is not really advisable for any developing nation. So that at the end of the day, we'll be subdividing land to the expense of agriculture. Because remember, time and again, we've not Nairobi has been depending on these satellite towns for agriculture. Yeah, Nairobi has been depending on Kiambu and other towns like Muranga, here in Kenol and whatnot. Yeah, but this year, have this year, you can bear me witness. There are people in central Kenya that have begged for food. Never
Sure.
in this
Sure.
lifetime have we seen people in central, yeah, complain about food. Why? As people continue breaking down their land, selling down their land, less and less land is left for agricultural purposes. So who'll bear the burden of going to the farm and digging? At the end of the day, everybody wants to sell a piece of land. We no longer have piece of land just set aside for agriculture, and the small
Daktari,
land that is left is for what do you call it, subsistent use. Yeah, I
Daktari.
saw a situation where there are people, I think in Muranga, yeah, where their cabbages were dying.
It's Nyandaro.
Nyandaro, yeah,
Yeah.
cabbages are dying, but there are people who don't have food. So such discrepancies are brought about by this unbalanced population dynamics, yeah, where we have a lot of people who are going to put their energies in other activities, other productive activities, and agriculture is left for the very few. Huh? And that's why, with time, according to McKinsey, they're looking at a small population of urban dwellers who've actually gotten into the work of investing in large scale agriculture based on their knowledge. You'll see people like Noah who will get land in from Masai's in Loitoktok and do serious farming, yeah. And somebody in Loitoktok where he bought the land from, yeah, moves to Nairobi and starts hustling. You see, Noah will be making money from his farm, but somebody who moved from that land went to Nairobi will be hustling, and that's why we are seeing so much crime. You see that it is not balanced, and something has to be done. That is why I'm thinking if these county governments came up with serious policies in agriculture and sale of land, subdivision of land, because I was listening to a topic today on one of the stations about how much Kajiado is actually, how much land is being sold by people in Kajiado, so that there are now there are very many change of users. If you're an urban planner, you'll understand change of users from probably agricultural land to settlement. Yeah.
Wow, wow. And coming on your end, Noah, what do you think on the same?
Um, you can hear me? Yeah, yeah. So I think what Dr. Ari said is very interesting, and what I wanted to pose a question to Dr. Ari and also just the audience. Does that mean that real estate is better? Does it mean that agriculture doesn't pay? What is this thing that we're actually seeing? Because by the time somebody says cut down these trees and let's construct, are these the same people? Are these the same farmers who are actually cutting down the trees, or who are these people? Because there's a very big disconnect, and we have to first tell ourselves the truth. There's a very big disconnect between what is being done right and what is right. You know, so my thinking is these policies are already there. We can only have an opportunity of doing the right thing. The right thing is it possible to make sure that we are having the, I don't know how to even to put it. Are we doing the right thing in terms of even supporting the county governments in terms of agriculture? I am yet to see. I am yet to see the. I don't know if you can still hear me. Yeah. So I'm yet to see a meeting between the county governments, the CECs of agriculture. Some counties have not yet even appointed CECs, and yet we are deep inside agriculture. Sorry, in the drought, we are not seeing the relation between the county governments and the national government in terms of policies, because as much as the agriculture has been devolved, we are also in a scenario where the devolved. Unless we're going to say hunger and drought has been devolved. No, it is a national crisis. It's a national issue. So, so if you've devolved agriculture to the counties, then what can you do as national government to make sure this is happening? We've only seen the Minister of Agriculture, unless that is his style of management. We've only seen him once or twice coming out and talking about this drought and all that. We have yet to see him actually going to the farmers themselves and understanding. The country has been part of the distributing what is it called, distributing relief, but we're not seeing the distribution of fertilizer now that it is raining. We're not seeing that happening, because if you subsidize fertilizer and you want farmers to plant more, why not give out even part of this fertilizer, not really free, but even really subsidize and then monitor, because anything that you manage that you cannot measure, then it becomes a very big challenge.
I think at this moment we're going to be taking a very short break, and then we come back and continue more on the topic. So don't go far, we're coming back.
It is once again another edition of Diagnostics Tuesday, and today we want to talk about soil health. But before talking about soil health, we want to see quite a number of issues arising from the absence of fertilizer. The cost of fertilizer has shot up, production has been reduced. We are seeing challenges in both production, in soil health, and a myriad of challenges that now smallholder farmers are facing. With me today, I have a friend of farmers. I normally tell you guys that I have my friends, then I have my friends who love farmers. And today we're going to talk about something very interesting. I know you can see a cartoon-like feature here, but he's going to tell us more about it. We have featured him before, but today we want to get in deeper now, here having understood the local market in terms of fertilizer and smallholder farmers. We can start by you introducing yourself.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Noe. My name is Aziz. I am in Kenya since 2018 here. We are supplying a new kind of fertilizers. It is named Kokoli, as you can see here. And if we are talking about the current circumstances and the shortage of fertilizers, and prices already has gone up, and it is very expensive right now. So our message to farmers is how to control your inputs and
Yes, and welcome back from our commercial break. And we were discussing more about the issue on population and urbanization, and we driving and diving much to finer details on how these affect agriculture in our country. And we've been discussing more on how on the land issues, and we've been discussing more on the effect, okay, on the how this really is affecting agriculture, and probably we get to understand more on this topic. And probably we've discussed on the issue of lands, and the size narrative that is there. Is the land being small the issue, or is the people accepting that agriculture is somewhere that that you can get some income the issue?
Look at this. Look at it this way. Yeah. If you look at the map of Kenya, the most productive places, the Kenyan highlands. Yeah, talking about central Kenya, talking about places like Kisii, talk of those very fertile area. You'll find that the population is very high. The more fertile the area, the bigger the population. If you go to places like Marsabit, or we go to Turkana, population is quite sparse, and that's part of the population dynamics. There's a lot of I don't know if it's the more fertile the land, more fertile the women. I don't know how it is, but you'll find that the more the abundance, the higher the population, and that is why Kenya's population is actually denser in a very we actually hugely populated in a very small portion of our nation. They say a third of our nation is actually in desert. It's a desert-like condition. If you go to the asal regions of Kenya, we have very low population. But now, look at it this way. What was the work of devolution? Devolution was to try to spread out the effect of urbanization, the effect of amenities, having development into mashinani. That's the mashinani issue here. So we are supposed to curb the rural-urban migration. That's why so many of these things have been decentralized. Yeah, even look at issues like Huduma Center. People no longer have to come to Nairobi to have to get their Huduma facilities or Huduma services. Yeah, all the services are actually decentralized. Now, another thing that Kenya needs to do, or the government needs to do, is to centralize a few things like industries. We were arguing with another scholar. Why should we be having? And Noah will help us there. Noah, why should we be having universities per every county? The government should actually put a policy. At least we need to, instead of having university per every county and people graduate and get out of the universities to no jobs, why don't we do each county must have at least 2 industries, like what happened in Kitui. We have that mango processing. For what, like in Kisumu, we should be having, like in Nyanza, we should be having like 10, 20 processors for factories for fish, depending on the potential of which county, whatever the county has full potential of. Instead of having these people moving out, going to Nairobi to search for jobs, these industries can be able to, give out employment. I don't know what is.
Because you cannot choose an interview. Yep, you can hear me now?
Noah, can you hear us?
Yes. Now, what I'm saying is, I think, again, as I said,
Yeah, you can have a problem.
What I'm saying is, instead of concentrating so much in having universities in all counties, why can't you look at the potential of a county? For example, a county like Kajiado, we have people who have livestock, herds and herds of livestock, sheep, goat. We need like 10, even 3 meat processing companies here. based on cooperatives. Cooperatives come together, county government facilitates, put processing factory for meat. Tanning companies are based on this beef. We also have tanning to tan the skin, yeah. Have conglomerates of different companies coming, yeah, processing. And you're seeing as we move, you're seeing more industries are moving towards Kajiado as you move there, because there's availability of land. And if the county government, in working in partnership with the government as a whole, can be able to work together, you see, the problem we need is curbing problems in relation to lack of employment. You see, that is a direct effect of high population. So you have a high population, people moving from the rural agricultural settings to the urbanized setting, but now they're coming to overpopulate the cities. And when they overpopulate the cities, what happens? There are no jobs.
Yeah.
What are we seeing in Nairobi right now? You're seeing what's happening in Nairobi. You can't even walk at night.
Yeah, sure.
Utapigwa ngeta. And the crime rate is becoming worse in Nairobi based on this small thing that we are talking. And if at all the incentives like what we talked about, the hustler fund, yeah, government comes up with a clear policy on the hustler fund. We'll give the young men this amount of money, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
And not all, I mean, there's money, there's devolved money. Why can't the agricultural the county governments set aside funds for youths to get into agricultural activities, do something, pay for, like, I don't know if you were born when President Kibaki, I don't want to disrespect your age, sorry, when President Kibaki became the president, we had something called economic stimulus. They realized that fish is very marketable, and in fact we know that we're importing fish, yeah, because the demand for fish is very high. Demand, I'm sure right now, if you decide to start doing fish farming and you are given the market, you'll be told you won't even satisfy the market. Do you know Muranga? We were doing a project in Muranga, and we were doing about 2,000, 3,000 fish, yeah? Somebody told us, you know, these 3,000 fish won't even reach Nairobi. 3,000 fish won't even reach Nairobi. And the demand will be still higher because in kennel, people will buy. And the people are thinking about exporting. You want to export food, and yet our demand for food is too much. We ask ourselves, are importing food. So, like, according to the McKinsey website, we are still lagging behind in terms of agricultural productivity in Africa. We are really behind. We need to work extra hard, 2 to 3 times what we are doing, to increase production. I'm not flower farms, so it's not going to help us. If we can change the set, we do production in agricultural activities that can feed the nation. You see, we do more wheat. We don't depend on countries like Russia and Ukraine. What is it that they are doing that we can't do here? We have Galana. They did a lot of research. Yeah. And then we also stop depending on one type of food, ugali all the time. Yeah. We can.
But Daktari,
we can expand the rice projects. Oh, let me tell you, I was in Senegal. The major part of the year, I was working in Senegal. Those guys, every staple meal is rice. This rice called yassa. There's another rice. So rice goes with the way we eat ugali. Them they eat rice. Monday they'll eat rice with fish because they live next to the ocean. Rice with fish, rice with onions, rice with viazi, rice with, so it goes. Nothing, no other food. Like, I stayed there for 2 weeks. I started becoming worried about my health. I'm so used to rice with something else. So, and then I asked them, you are a desert nation, where do you get your rice? Told, half of the rice we get from Pakistan and India. Half of the rice. And by the time it reaches Senegal, it has to go through the Mediterranean Sea and
Yeah.
pass through the ports and go. And ask them, there are countries like Kenya that have rice. Have you ever thought about it? Have you ever thought about, because much of West Africa, countries like Mali, countries like Burkina Faso, countries like Senegal and Gambia, rice is a staple meal, but they don't have the capacity to produce. So what happens? That leaves a leeway of importation. That's why I know there are smart Kenyans out there. If you want to start exporting rice, there's a big market out there. Yes.
Probably you can check on Noah. Noah, are you back, and what do you think?
There's a big market.
Yes. Yeah, you can hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Brilliant, brilliant. Yeah. So I think the biggest challenge that we are facing. I'll just respond to what Dr. Ari had mentioned in terms of education. I think Africa, Kenya in particular, is very good at research. We are, I think, one of the best research countries in the world. And why I'm saying that is because you can see very clearly we have very many professors. I know that Tari is going to bang them. We have very many professors in agriculture. When I say agriculture, it's a fact. We have some of the best brains in agriculture here in Kenya. We have an arable land. We have scenarios where we can actually even make more money in agriculture than the people themselves who are even producing food, countries that are producing food. So for me, I think what we need to do is that the universities are there. We've heard of some threats that has been given out that the universities will not be funded anymore. But again, we need to ask ourselves: is there some support in terms of that for that statement? Yes. If you take some of the universities, they cannot even generate revenue. They have chunks and chunks of land. They have boreholes. They have water. Where is this research? Are they just researching and then putting on the shelf? Can they be able to practice that themselves? We know some of the universities abroad, those who travel abroad, you'll find that like there's a university, Cornell in the States. They're doing a lot of dairy. In fact, the whole of that town where Cornell University is actually, the milk comes from actually the university there. We have research organizations here. We have ISIPE, we have ILRI, we have all these organizations that are there. But we are still getting wrong breeds of even cows. That's why you find when the drought comes, it hits us, So I think for us, one of the things that we can actually do is tell ourselves the truth. We have large populations, and that population is also able to work. So if we can be able to make sure that that population is working, then automatically we'll not even be talking about large population, less agriculture, because you'll find that at least in every specific, I can say in every village, half the village are actually producing food or rearing cattle or camels and all that. There's also the discussion that has been going on about our test buds. I think our test buds have just been the same test buds over and over. Again, we will not say where that curry comes from, but I know rice is part of their diet. We have basics. We have this area. This is their staple food. I was talking to one of my neighbors near the farm, and he was saying that they don't understand that how we eat chicken. Them, they don't eat chicken. And chicken in my village, chicken is what you eat for breakfast. You can use chicken in there. So I think there's a disconnect between the reality and what is on the ground. And for one main reason, you can find that there's a lot of research, a lot of money going into research, but we don't even have extension officers who are being given first-hand experience on what this research is all about, what these are the findings. This is what you can localize. Like the photo you are seeing there is a photo of me in a farm in my farm, and this is it was a new tomato variety. This tomato variety had been researched in Kenya for I think 6-7 years, but for some reason it was not being planted here. but it came back. It went to be packed to be repacked, and it came back very expensive. So these policies that we are saying that are not there, these policies that we want to redo them, why don't we just start executing the ones that are existing? Why don't we just start making sure that we are actually doing the right thing? Doing the right thing is not rocket science. Doing the right thing is making sure. You can imagine a father in a house and says, we have to understand the policies that are there right now, and these policies are something. I think are things that we can be able to control. So let us see how we can be able to control this by making sure that we are doing the right thing at the right time.
Much. And actually, I guess we'll be winding up at this moment, and probably I can touch on 2-3 things that we probably have not touched throughout the show.
Basically, we've touched on a lot, especially in urbanization. So you see, ask yourself why China is actually becoming a superpower, because they invested in their population. Why Nigeria is doing very well, even in their music. You realize
Yeah.
music is doing well.
Yeah, sure.
Because they buy Nigeria, they sell Nigeria. Yeah? They invest on their own. Population is the key to development. The bigger the population, they say there is power in numbers. Yeah. If you can take advantage of your number, tell people now we can we start producing, we start doing this. We start buying our own. Buy your own. Do your own. Forget about the Pakistan. No pun intended. Forget about Pakistan rice. We buy the Moya rice. We buy clothing from Kikomi in Nyanza. We do that. We do our own. We can go very far. But when we start allowing other nations to come and dump substandard things, clothes, like Baba said one day, goes a mighty. Yeah, you see, we are the ones who are to build our own. So we need to take advantage of the big population that we have. Yeah, Magufuli saw this one time. He said, he told his people, give birth. Each man should be having at least 8 children. You saw why? He said, there's a destiny in numbers. Yeah, you can do a lot. You can invest a lot in your numbers. So this idea of land will be fragmented into small sizes. There's land in northeastern. Do you know you can even buy land at less than 10,000? There's in Lamu there you can buy land at 5,000.
Yeah, sure, an acre.
An acre you can buy at 5,000.
Yeah.
Why? Because you want to be next to the city. Yeah, you want to be near Nairobi. So, but when they hear there's gold there, everybody will move there.
Sure.
There's this town called what do you call the name? Where the Lapset project is passing, where there's a new international airport. What is the name of this town? Actually, they've planned it to be the next capital city of Kenya in future. Now that town, because of the Lapset and the connection between the pipeline from all the way from South Sudan to Lamu, the Kenya government put they put international airport there, because they plan, they look ahead and they plan. And I know people are now buying land there at very high rate, because the moment there's that time shift, things will become good. Yeah.
Okay. I know probably from your end, what are your closing remarks?
Yeah, I think there's a disconnect. I think it's something that we can be able to work together. We have farmers who are already doing these things. We have young people who are willing to be able to make sure that this is a success story, but they need direct support. This direct support is not rocket science. This direct support is resources. We are happy to see that the Hustler Fund, now I don't know whether that is also happy. Watu wa mrengo tofauti. But I'm not suggesting anything, Daktari. Yeah, but basically we have to ask ourselves hard questions. yes, we're going to give out this money. Yes, the resources being given out there to young farmers, to young people. How much of that is going into agriculture? We also have a lot of food wastage. We have 30% of food that is wasted, and happy to mention this as well as we continue, that we have a program that we actually testing with the UK aid through UK Tech Hub to be able to make sure that we are identifying what are the challenges farmers are facing, especially when it comes to transport and logistics support. What challenges are farmers facing that they cannot take their produce to the farm at affordable rates, hence increasing the prices. And then also their access to markets. Farmers are not accessing the markets because of brokers and all that. And that way, that makes even if there's food that produce that farmers were supposed to take to the market, then automatically there's no longer market for they cannot take it to the market because now brokers are undermining the efforts. So it's not rocket science, it's very simple. Let us befriend these farmers, let's talk to them, let us empower them to make sure that they can produce more with the little they have and make sure that it's a success story. Ni hayo kwa machache.
Thank you so much. And actually, I believe that's where we're going to call it off until tomorrow in the morning show, in the breakfast show. So do have a lovely day and continue watching our shows and continue watching our content. We love you so much.
Bye.